So I want to say a word about the Blake Lively Parker Posey interview, and I want to say I didn't watch anyone else's reactions. I just went and looked at the video when I saw people were talking about it. And what immediately struck a chord with me was that I remember that type of bullying as a kid, specifically from girls, because I was only ever in social groups with other girls. And it is a lot easier to concede coming off as rude, to deal with coming off as rude or as a little bit of a bitch than it is to be able to be pinned for directly attacking somebody. So there is no direct insults. There's little jabs that are like, oh, maybe she doesn't realize she was trying to be funny and it didn't land right. It landed how she wanted it to. It's little jabs. It's making you second guess everything you're saying so that you start getting quieter. Mind you, this is an interview. And Parker and Blake are just talking to each other. They barely look at her at all. They barely once even make eye contact with her. And the few times they do reference her directly throughout the interview, they're making fun of her questions. And even I don't know. I think it's so painful and people are so angry watching it because it literally brought me back to being like young and being told without being told that I was not welcome in a social group. And another thing, the type of bullying that Blake Lively and Parker Posey are employing in that interview, and this is, I forgot this, the most insidious part about being treated that way as a kid by like a group of mean girls is that you go home and tell your parents, oh, these girls were all being really mean to me today. And your parents say, oh, what did they do? And they're like, well, they didn't really say anything and they were just talking, but I just knew how I felt. And that's always the line that your parents are like, it sounds like you're being sensitive. It's this incredible instinct that people get when they climb to the top of any given social hierarchy, is they know how to make you feel like shit in a way that you can't really report back. And this clip is only here because it was saved. It was an interview. It was a filmed interview. But people just walk around and make other people feel like that all the fucking time in a way that you can't actually tell anybody what the fuck they did because it's all subliminal. It's all telepathic. And I've said this a million times. Women are fucking telepathic. I don't think men talk to each other like that. Men don't employ that tactic of social intimidation because they can't pick up on it, or they're not trained to pick up on it. But when you grow up in feminine social circles your entire life, you learn how to tell when somebody is trying to tear you the fuck down and make you feel like shit and tell you you're not welcome with a smile on their face and a compliment coming out of their mouth. Yeah. And now, let me say this too. That type of bullying that Blake Lively and Parker Posey were employing in that interview stands perhaps on the other side of a coin or on the other side of a fence from reading, okay? And that's the word I'm gonna use because there are a lot of people who, if I want conflict with you, if I want to tell you I don't like you and I don't want you in my social group, I will come to you in any venue with a list of reasons why I do not fucking like you. And I will make sure that it hurts so that we are very clear with each other. And I sign a contract in that moment with that person and everyone in the room that they get to go tell people what I said and everyone there is going to see it. And I deal with the consequences of what the fuck I just said. And if I go too far and if it's too fucked up and if it's unfair, I have to deal with that shit. But there is another type of person who is able to achieve the exact same emotional effect without saying anything so that there are no consequences and there is no protection for the other person. There is no reprieve unless somebody else sees it and picks up on it. Okay? It's the difference between a knife in the chest versus a knife in the back. Because a knife in the chest, if you have gall, you can fight back. What the fuck are you gonna do if you get stabbed between your shoulder blades?